today's video we'll look at how to add project information to the Architect Pro system. I'm going to jump into a pre-detailed project already, so 0112 Abbey Court, and just show you a little bit of information. So here we have the project overview page, and on the left hand side we have a few details appearing from client, design team, client contacts, time frame, planning number and upcoming dates. On the right hand side then we have bespoke information coming up depending on what information you would like to add to particular projects. So if you want the description of works, if you want project sector or notes and comments to appear on all your projects, then in the background on the Architect Pro system you can add that feature in. I won't go into detail on how to do that in today's video. This video is more so just to show you how to add everything into a project initially. And where all this information is being pulled from is from the project edit page. So if you come over to the edit project button and select that, you'll see here that there's a number of different bits of information that you're allowed to add into your Architect Pro project. So you have project number, project name, client name, a brief description of the job, you have the site address, then lines 1 to 4, and you have the postcode, the coordinates, planning permission number, local planning authority, anticipated fee for the job, you have your start date and finish date. You then have your project status. Once you've finished the project, you can always come into this project and change it from active to completed, proposal, inactive or deleted. You then have your project level. Most projects will be a normal project. If there's a case that you want to create a folder for a certain client, if that client maybe has a couple of projects that you're working on, you can always change the project level to master. And then you can also create sub-projects within that master project. So if you were to create this 0112 Abbey Court project as a master project, you then go in and set up new projects and add them in as sub-projects. And then master project, you come in and you would pick 0112 as the master project. I'm just going to leave that as normal. All users can access, so whoever has access to Architect Pro within the office, if you click on have this button ticked, it just means that every project that gets set up will have the employees in the office added to that project initially. A project user then from an admin perspective can always come in and change that on a particular project or from an overall perspective. There's also then the design team role and names, so you can put in exactly what type of design team members are part of your team, both internally within the office and externally outside of the office as well. So I was to select a blank option here, a drop down appears then and gives me a number of options that we've added in as default roles. If you have a role that hasn't appeared here, you can always come in and click on add new role. So for example, if I wanted to come in, add new role and put in quantity surveyor, and I'm just going to put initials of QS. Click on save. That's a quantity surveyor has been added to this project, and I then come into my contacts list. So the contacts list, or the name should I say, is being dragged from the contact list up here on the top of the page. Now what we usually do within a project, or sorry, an Architect Pro account, is we would help you import your contacts into the system. So if I was to select on projects, or sorry, names, and pick on the contact I want to use, if the contact is not there, if I wanted to add in a new contact, just scroll down to the bottom, click on add new contact, and add in the details there of the person that I want to use. So if I was to put in the name, put in the email, and I can put in as much detail or as little detail as I want from there. So if I wanted to put in just the last bit of detail there, click on save, and that Connor has been added into the project. So that's a bit of information on how to add in design team roles and names. You can also add in external upload folders and project type, project leader, sector, custom field 2. So where all this information is coming from, the external upload folders you can ignore for the moment, but in terms of the other information here, the project type and category, the project leader, the sector and the custom field 2, that is all dummy information that you can again put in the background, whatever information you want to see yourself. So if it was a case that you wanted to see that who's a project leader within the office, would be, you can select your client. Sorry, you can select your users within the office, and you can say, okay, Andrew Mills is the project leader on this particular project, and this particular project is to do with hospitality. And then you can type in, so for custom field 2, you can just type in whatever else you want to see. So if it was, say, a particular detail you wanted to see in every single project, and it wasn't an option at the start, you can always come in and add it in yourself. You can then come in and add client contact details as well, and you can put in project payment terms on the invoices. So this would be the amount of days that would set up on every invoice created underneath this project. So if I just come back out and go as if I'm setting up a brand new project, I select the option of new project. I then start to add in all the detail. So if I wanted to put in the project number there, so if I wanted 2017 011, project name, client name, I want to put in a brief description, and then I can start to put in the address. I can then put in coordinates. I can put in a planning permission number, local planning authority, anticipated fee for the job. I can put in a start date. I can put in a finish date. Again, these are just projections. You can always come in and change these at a later time. Project status active, project level normal. All users can access. I then want to come in and add a design team. So if I want to put in an engineer, I want to put in a fire mechanic, and I want to put in a main contractor. And again, I just pick from the names that appear there for myself. So I can pick then certain people within the office, or I can pick people outside of the office. I'm going to leave the external uploads folder blank. Project type, I'm going to put in new build. Project leader, I'm going to put in column Sheridan. Sector, I'm going to put in as residential, as a hospitality, and I'm going to put in custom field 2. I'm going to leave that blank, and then the client details again, I'm going to pop them in. So we've already put in the client details name once above. Now I just want to put in details in particular. And again, you can put in an address. Sometimes the address is the exact same as the one above. So I'm going to pop that in. I'm going to leave the rest blank. I'm going to put in 30 days if I am using the project payment terms for the invoicing. I can click on Save Details. When I click on Save Details, the project will then move from this Edit Project page. Architect Pro will then bring the user into the next page, which will be the work stages. So it's just taking a moment or two to save for me there, just due to the computer that I'm using might be a bit slow. So just bear with me one moment. Now, there we are. It's after being brought back into work stages, into the project 2017_011, and the project name there is CG Limited. On this particular account, what we have is the IORBA project stages as set up as default project stages. So I can use these every time I want to come in on a particular project. I can definitely just start to pick the detail there. So if I was to go strategic definition and go into edit, a pop-up box appears for me there to put in the fee. So I can put in a fee for the initial part of the job. I can put in the order, so the order is already preset as 0, which just means that it sits at the top of these work stage descriptions. And then you can see that there's hours by task, and that you can do different tasks within it, but then the different people within that. So if it's a technician, a partner, a designer, director, associate, and office manager. Now the thinking behind this is that you can say, okay, there's going to be like 10 hours for this, there's going to be 5 hours from the designer, and there's going to be 1 hour from the associate, and that'll pick up a rate against the different users in the office. So if I click on save, you'll see there that there's a 1,500 fee, there's a projected cost of £1,075, and there's a profit margin of £425 and a margin 28% there. And that's just calculating the rates that you guys would have put in previous to that. If you don't want to use the projected hours, you can still come into a stage and just put in the fee for that particular stage. So I say put in 10,000 for that and click on save. It would just give a fee for preparation and brief. Now what happens with that information then is that fee is then used against the hours being logged. So when people start to log hours again, they'll have an hourly rate set against their user. So when they actually start to type in and log the hours, that'll pick up the difference between the fee and the projected hour and the hours being logged, will show a cost against that. Now what I'll do is I'll save and finish, and that'll actually set me up then to start working on this project. So you can see for this particular project, the client, the design team, client contacts, time frame, planning number, and upcoming dates have been left blank, description of works, the project sector, and notes and comments. And so if I was to very quickly want to have a look at the information from the design team, I can click on the 3 red lines beside every one of them, and I can get details there for Anthony O'Shea, or if I wanted to click on Colin Greenan there, I can get details for Colin Greenan. So that's the short video on how to set up a project in terms of the project information and also the work stages. If at any stage you ever want to change any of the information here on the project overview, just again click on edit project and you'll be brought back into this page to explain how to do it. You can add in your different details there, and then if you want to go to your options and change any of the workstage information, just go underneath the financial admin heading and click on work stages. That'll bring you into the particular work stages against this project, and you'll see the stage fees against the 2 different project stages there. If you want to change any of that or add to them or add to the other stages, just click on edit work stages and then you can start to add in the detail. Now the last thing to note is I'm actually on an admin user account currently, so I'm able to see that financial information. If it is staff user account, they cannot edit or see the financial information. And that's the video on the basic overview of setting your own project up on the Architect Pro system.